Howdy folks. So what we're going to be doing is going through the assembly of the MakiBox. I'm going to start out by just going through a few things beforehand, and then we'll get into the first step. We're going to do this video through the steps in the assembly manual. So there's a total of I think 14 steps in this assembly manual. So we'll do 14 separate videos. Now, what you see here is everything, well, everything here is what comes with your MakiBox kit. There's a few things that may or may not come with your kit, depending on kind of how things go. One thing that we're not planning on including is the plug, because this varies a lot by region to region, and this is a very common plug. So basically, just pick, if you don't have one of these, this is the standard computer plug or kettle plug, as a lot of people call it. We figured most people will have one of these sitting around. If you don't, it's pretty inexpensive to pick up. So instead of offering a half a kilo, we will do 1 full kilo of material instead of doing a plug, which is actually a better deal for you guys. Okay, so be sure to pick up a plug. USB cables, as far as I know, we will be including a USB cable, but at the same time, we're probably going to include a relatively short one. If you want a longer one, it's just a standard micro SD. As far as tools, we will be including 2 Allen wrenches. They're the right size, that are the only tools that you technically need to do the assembly. However, we recommend picking up a pair of needle nose pliers of some sort, and then also some basically wire clippers or plastic cutters. Both of them come in handy during the build, but not completely required. Another simple thing that would be good to have for the build, just some sort of small cup. So these M4 10mm screws are used pretty much everywhere, and it will make your life a lot easier if you put them out in a small cup instead of having it in a small bag. And you may also want to do the same thing for the other screws. It just makes it easier to find them if they're not just in the bag. Okay, so I'm going to set the filament aside for now. Don't need that for the build. Let's see, is there any other preparation work? I think that's pretty much it. Oh, for the final part of the build, you may want either wire ties, zip ties, something like that. We'll probably include a few extra of these, but these are one-time use type of bits, so you may prefer some other type of fastener that, for cleaning up your build. Okay, so let's move on to step 1. Okay, so assembly manual, if you unfold it, you should find step 1 right there. And then if you pick up your component manual, first page should be step 1. So step 1 in the instruction manual, basically find the motor that has the shortest shaft on it. That's the Z motor. And then, one note, the final production parts will not be these colors. They should be kind of a light gray, just in case you're looking at this and trying to sort things out by color. So let's start grabbing that there. So you're going to need the Z-axis block, which is this, it's got a little X-shaped thing, it's about yay big. And then you're going to need the Z-axis motor mount. And then you're also going to want 4 of the countersink screws. So they're the ones with the little taper heads. You may or may not be able to see them here, but they're pretty clear in the assembly manual, or the parts manual. And these guys, which are the sides for the Z-axis. Set those away. And then also need 2 of the 25mm and 4 screws. And I think the pack out will probably be a little bit different. We may actually wind up packing the hardware up based on when you need it, so putting it together by stage instead of putting together all at once. Okay, so let's so basically, first step, you'll want to loosely attach the motor. Now, one important point, you see these little tabs coming out of the motor mount. The wires come out to that side of it. So be sure to do it in that orientation, otherwise you're going to have problems later. Now, probably the best idea would be to get these started, but don't put them all the way in, and then actually tighten them down after you do the all the other stuff, so that you're allowed to center the motor better. If you tighten them down all the way to start with, your motor may actually be a little bit off center in relation to the other stuff, which is not so good. So I'm leaving it a little bit loose right now. And you also need, basically they're the shortest two. So if you take all your bearing rods, just find the 2 shortest rods. Those are your Z-axis rods. So fit those into there. And then these 2 screws go into the side that does not have the stuff sticking out. So this side. Now, all these do are really just help hold everything together. So they're not really, like you're not going to see that big of a change, but they just keep everything from coming apart rather than like really doing anything to put it together in the first place. Gently tighten these down. I wouldn't snug them down too hard. And then you'll see that there's one part that has a little tab sticking out. That tab goes nearest the tabs sticking out from the motor mount. And then carefully thread this on. It may take a little bit to get it started. And then once you get the 2 bearing rods started, bring in the block by using the screw. Now, like I said, you might want to leave the motor not too tight. And then at this point, go back in and tighten the screws down. And my preference would actually be doing crosswise to start with. And you don't have to go crazy tightening these down. You can just snug is pretty good. And then you're going to want to back it back down. But actually, for reference, you might want to go and put your side panels on. Now, the side panels, basically, if you look, there's two tabs on the top of each side panel. They're slightly different dimensions. There's tabs here and tabs on one side, and then a single tab on the bottom. The tabs here face the same side as the small tabs on the motor mount. There's only one way to put them in after you get that orientation. So if you try putting this one on this other side, it won't fit. Same thing with this one. So these tabs face the same way as these, and find the slot that they fit into. And just firmly press them down. You need to make sure they're all the way down. And then at this point, I would back your block back out. Which will probably wind up pulling out your bearing rods. You can just keep on pushing them back in every once in a while. And then what you'll want to do is get it down to where these holes line up with these holes. Okay, so that's it for step one. So, important points. Wires go in this direction. The tabs on these features are on the same side as this. And then the screws, don't tighten them all the way. Use the block and the rods to get everything aligned, and then tighten them up. And you don't need to go crazy over tightening. Okay. So let's go on to step two.